So then it's time for my early predictions for the championship season of 2023-2024. This is a very difficult video to do, guys. It's incredibly early on, but it is a bit of fun. Remember that, guys. Don't be offended by my predictions. I am intrigued to see your predictions down below in the comments. If you do enjoy this video, do make sure, of course, to drop a like. We'll go for 600 likes on this video. Show some support, and do make sure, of course, to subscribe for some more championship content through the summer. Me and Sophie will be doing our official predictions later on in the summer, but this is an early one and it's just a bit of fun, so let's get into it. So like I say, guys, I'm predicting all 24 teams in the championship for the 2023-24 season, and I'm going to be putting them on this tier list. You've got the top 6 teams, the teams that I think will get into the top 12, teams that will be floating around mid-table, maybe for a playoff push, maybe just keeping themselves away from trouble. You've got the surviving category here for the teams that I think will just get over the line this season, and the bottom 3, the 3 teams that I think will be relegated down to League One. One thing I will say is, like I say, it's incredibly early. We don't know what kind of business these teams are going to do, so what we're basing the predictions on at this moment in time is what players they've got at the moment, the managers they've got at the moment, the budgets that they've got, the kind of trajectory that these clubs are on, the direction of travel, the fan bases. We're putting all of that together to see what my predictions will be. And like I say, this is incredibly difficult. Give it a go down in the comments if you want to. Let's start off with the Tigers, Hull City. Now, Hull finished around mid-table last season, and I've quite enjoyed them being back in the Championship. In their first season in the Championship, they stayed up quite comfortably, and last year they pushed on a little bit. I think in the second half of the season they were quite good. I do like Rosinia, and I think this club is going in the right direction, and gradually, which I think is important as well. Some clubs can absolutely blast up the table one season and then fall off completely the next season. I think Hull City are a solid club. They're going in the right direction, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see them break into the top 12, maybe finish around 10th or 11th this season, which would be a great achievement because I think the Championship is going to be very competitive this year. So I'm going to straight away slide the Tigers into the top 12. It might seem optimistic, but I do think Hull City are a club going in the right direction, so I wouldn't be surprised if they just break into that top half. Let me know your thoughts if you are a Hull City fan down below. Next up, we've got Cardiff City. Now, Cardiff City are a team I am a little bit worried about coming into this season. The bookmakers, we said, have them just surviving the drop, but I do think if Cardiff City are anything like they were last season, that this year they could be in real trouble yet again. And I do like the look of the 3 teams coming up and how strong they are. I think Cardiff City, if they don't have a big summer, could be in trouble. Like I say, we'll revisit this video in a few weeks' time, but to start things off, I'm going to say Cardiff City might be relegated down to League One, especially based on last season. They didn't inspire me. They did just get over the line, but I don't think Cardiff City as a club are going in the right direction, so I'm going to say they might slip down the division this year. Do share your thoughts if you're a Cardiff fan. Let me know if you agree or disagree, of course. Plymouth Argyle are next. They did fantastic in League One. 101 points is some feat in that division because it was so competitive. Ipswich Town, Sheffield Wednesday, Derby County, Barnsley, Bolton. Like I say, so many good teams in League One last year, and Plymouth topped the lot. How will they get on back in the Championship? I haven't seen Plymouth Argyle in the Championship for quite a while. I do remember them playing in the Coca-Cola Championship as it was then, and it's a good addition. I said it's good to see a representative of the Southwest from Devon back in the 2nd division of English football, and I would like Plymouth to stay up. Do I think they can stay up? I think they can. Because of how good they were last season, I think they could try and ride that wave and momentum and the positivity that they've got there into this season. I think it's going to be difficult, but I do think Plymouth Argyle will get over the line. I'm going to put them in surviving. I think maybe around 19th place or so, and then maybe if they do that, they can build on it next season, but it's just about staying up and then maybe consolidating the next season. But I do think Plymouth have got the capability to do it. Stoke City are next. Stoke are a tricky one. They're like everyone's most difficult prediction every season in the Championship. If you slide them somewhere in the middle, you can't go too far wrong. They've got the capability to be a bit higher up. I think we saw that in some of their performances last year. Like I say, when they came to Coventry, they beat us 4-0 and they looked like the best team in the league. But they did finish in the bottom half last year. Let's say they maybe do similar and maybe a little bit better. Let's slide them in the middle. Stoke City, they have decent players. The manager's okay. I think they're going to go in the middle for me. Ipswich Town are up next. Ipswich, just like Plymouth Argyle, were absolutely fantastic and pretty much flawless in the second half of the League One campaign last year. I think Ipswich Town could surprise a few people this season. Look, it's a difficult division, and not very often do you get teams come up from League One and fly right through into the top six. We did see Sunderland sneak into the top six last season. I think if you're an Ipswich fan, you've got to have level-headed expectations, and I think you might be better than surviving. I reckon Ipswich Town will be in the middle of the table. I think they're going to be a hard team to beat. They showed that they could score loads of goals last year. They've got a good togetherness and a very good manager. I do like him. Let's put Ipswich Town in the middle there. Let me know your thoughts if you are a tractor boy. Leicester City are up next. This is a tricky one because we're going to expect to see some big changes at Leicester City through the summer. Big players going out, and I'm sure some big signings coming in, of course. Just weighing things up and looking at the stature of club and the fact that they've got more resources than other clubs, despite a big summer of change, I do think Leicester City will be in and around where the bookmakers think they should be this season. The bookmakers have them to win the league, and I don't think they'll be too far off that. I'm going to put them in the top six. Maybe first, second, third, fourth, but somewhere in that top six for me. I just can't see Leicester City not making it. I know they're going to have some big changes, but I think they've got a lot about them to get themselves back into the top six and push back towards the Premier League. Sunderland are next. Sunderland did fantastic last year. Tony Mowbray came in and did a fantastic job after taking over from Alex Neil, and he got them into the top six. They nearly got to Wembley. They did beat Luton Town in the home leg. They then lost out in the second leg. They had a few decent loan players last year. It'll be interesting to see what players they can bring in coming into this season. As I say, I think the competition is going to be very fierce at the top of the Championship, but I don't see Sunderland falling very far away from it. I think they're going to be in the playoff chase. Maybe 6th again, but I think 7th or 8th or 9th is equally as likely. So I'll put Sunderland in the top 12 there. Let's not forget, massive club and a massive fan base, which can make a massive difference. Queen's Park Rangers are next. This is an interesting one. I've seen QPR fans, some of them seem divided on this one. Some of them have optimism coming into this season, some of them not so much. It was a very poor season for Queen's Park Rangers last year, let's get that straight. They did stay up, and fair play to Gareth Ainsworth for getting the results in just in the nick of time to get themselves over the line. I do think if Reading weren't given their points deduction last season, then QPR could have been in even more trouble. But do you know what? I'm struggling for which teams are going to go down this season, and QPR, I think they're going to be in the mix. Wouldn't surprise me if they stay up, but QPR fans, I think you could be in trouble. I'm going to put you in the bottom 3. Let me know if you think I'm wrong down below. Let's move on to Preston North End. Preston are just that solid Championship team that you can expect to be in and around the middle. Let's say, though, they did do very well towards the end of last season. They dragged themselves out of nowhere with some brilliant form into the playoff discussion. I think they got themselves in there. I remember their game away at Millwall with about 6 or 7 weeks of the season to go. They lost that game. They slipped out of the top 6 and they didn't really recover. Their form in the last few weeks wasn't great. They did get like a 1-1 draw against Blackburn, but then they lost 3-0 to Sunderland on the final day. I think Preston fans will be happy to have a similar season in where they've got a chance of sneaking into the top 6, and I think I'll go for mid-table because Preston are just too good to be in one of the bottom 2 categories. We'll have to wait and see what business Preston North End do, but they are a team that are pretty sensible with the recruitment and run things quite well there, so I'll say in the middle. Birmingham City are up next. Birmingham City is an interesting one. Do the changes in the background with the ownership and everything give them a cause for optimism? I've seen a few Birmingham City fans say they think they could have a bit of an improvement on last season. Got some key players there. Last season, I think Eustace did an okay job. It'd be interesting to see what the setup is for Birmingham City come the start of August, because we are still 2 months away from that. But I'll be optimistic for Birmingham and say they maybe climb a couple places on last season. Last season, I think it was 17th or 16th. Let's say they're pushing for 13th or 14th this year. I'll put them in the middle there. I think Birmingham City are just that team that never seem to go down. And I did back them to go down last year and they proved me wrong. So this time I'll be a bit more generous. Blackburn Rovers are up next. Oh, I think Blackburn have got to go somewhere in the top half. Wouldn't surprise me if they got into the top 6. In the end, they missed out on the playoffs by a point. My expectations for this season for Blackburn are for them to do very similar. What was interesting about them last season was they went so far into the season without drawing, but that suited them because they were winning, losing, and stacking on points of 3 every so often, and then they just slipped out when they started to draw games towards the end of the season. Let's say Blackburn Rovers get top 12. I thought they were absolutely fantastic on the final day against Millwall when they had nothing to play for, so maybe Blackburn Rovers play better when the pressure's not on them. Let's say they get top 12. Like I say, it wouldn't surprise me if we see them somewhere in and around these two. Bristol City are up next. Bristol City had a decent season last year. They improved a couple places on the season before. They were quite clear of the trouble in the bottom three. I don't think they're going to be going down this season. I think they could be not a million miles away from it, if that makes sense. Like I say, with the teams coming down and the teams coming up looking so strong, maybe Bristol City fall a couple places this season. Bristol City had plenty of goal scorers last season with Conway, Semenyo, Vyman and Wells. Let's say they keep themselves away from the bottom three, but let's put them in surviving. Let me know your thoughts if you're a Bristol City fan. I've got to put someone there, sorry. Let's move on to Middlesbrough next. I expect Middlesbrough to have another good season. It was interesting how it played out last season. I think when everyone did their pre-season predictions last season, we all expected them to get into the top 6 with Chris Wilder. They did get in the top 6, but not with Chris Wilder. He actually had Middlesbrough going down the division, and then Michael Carrick turned them around and they went up the division. And I think there is cause for optimism coming into this season. We saw how brilliant they were through the middle and the end of the season. They just sort of ran out of gas towards the end. But I think if Michael Carrick's there and he keeps getting the same performances and results out of the players that he's got there's no reason Middlesbrough can't be in the top 6 again. And I wouldn't rule them out of the top 2 conversation as well. So let's slide them there next to Leicester City. Norwich City are up next. This is an interesting one. A lot of people were wrong with Norwich City last season because a lot of us, myself included, expected them to be in the top 6 and most of us expected them to be in the top 2. They finished outside the playoffs. They were more like mid-table in the end last season. The thing is, if I go for them to finish mid-table this season, they're going to go and get in the top 6, aren't they? I don't know. They've got a lot of resources compared to some of these clubs. Let's put them in the middle of these two categories and go for top 12. Maybe around 8th or 9th, they might improve a little bit. I wouldn't be totally surprised if Norwich City still get in there, and they have still got parachute payments, so they're still worth keeping an eye on. Millwall are next. Millwall missed out on the playoffs on the final day. They're a team that are always between 6th and 12th. I did predict them to finish in the playoffs last year, as I keep saying, and they were going to until they messed it up on the final day against Blackburn Rovers. I think we could see a similar story here where Millwall are stuck between 6th and 12th. If they can sneak into 6th one season, that'd be great for the Millwall fans, who are just desperate to see their team get to the playoffs after flirting with it for quite a few seasons now. They've got good continuity. Gary Rowett's one of my favourite managers at this level, and I think Millwall will be sniffing around the playoffs, but maybe they just fall short again. I'll put them there. Let's say they finish around 7th or 8th this season. Next up, you've got the Baggies, West Bromwich Albion. This is an interesting one with West Brom because their parachute payments are over, but they've still got a good manager and a very good team, and they know this level. We've seen West Bromwich Albion get promoted from the Championship quite a few times now over the years. Can they do it this time round? I'm going to put them in my top 6. I think I've backed West Brom to finish in the top 6 over the last 2 seasons, and they've let me down. If you let me down this season, I'm not putting you in there again. West Brom, top 6. We still need to see what players they bring in, but I think they could just get in there this season. If they can get some togetherness there, then they have got 1 or 2 of the best players in this level, let's not lie. So West Brom, you're going in my top 6. Coventry City next, my team. This is an interesting one. Coventry City fans, I've seen a few that are divided on this one. I'm in the camp that I think Coventry City can have another good season. It's taken me a few days to come to terms with the fact that we're going to be playing Championship football, considering we were 1 penalty kick away from playing in the Premier League last season. But the big thing is for Coventry that makes me think we won't have a fall off so much as Huddersfield Town did when they lost the Championship playoff final is Coventry City have got Mark Robbins still, and we've still got Adi Vivash. They've signed new contracts, and so long as we've had them, we've been trending upwards. We keep finishing higher every season, and I think that's been the case over the last 6 or 7 seasons now. If we were to finish higher this season, we'd be somewhere in the top 4 because we finished 5th last year. Do I think we'll be in the top 4? It might be a bit of a stretch, especially with teams with parachute payments being in the league, but I don't think Coventry City are going to be that far away from it. I'd definitely settle for 5th. I'd definitely snap your hand off for 6th as well. Let's say Coventry City still get in there. I do expect 1 or maybe 2 of our best players to go. Probably Gyökeres, maybe Hamer, but I think Coventry City's recruitment plan looks good. We've retained some of our good players. We've already brought in De Silva from Bristol City, and I think we will bring in some more key players. I think Coventry City are a club that are desperate to get to the Premier League, and I think we will get there at some point. Maybe this season, maybe next. Let's put Coventry City in the top 6 then. You might think I'm being biased, but I think Coventry City have got a good chance still. Sheffield Wednesday are up next. I am so pleased to see Sheffield Wednesday back in the Championship. It's at least where they should be. And, you know, they should be in League One for a start. But big club, big traditional club. They've been out of the top flight now for over 20 years, which is obviously a shame for the Sheffield Wednesday fans. But they're only one promotion away now. Do I expect them to be competing for promotion from the Championship this year? It's not impossible. Maybe not that likely. I think they could be sniffing around the playoffs. Maybe similar to Ipswich, that they're in the middle of the table. I think Darren Moore's done a fantastic job, and what we can expect from Sheffield Wednesday is a lot of goals, a team that's hard to beat at Hillsborough, and I think a team that will be very safe of the relegation battle. So let's put them in the middle there. I am very excited to get to go to Hillsborough next season. I've never ticked off Sheffield Wednesday's stadium, so I'm looking forward to that one. But like I say, just delighted for their fans to get back to the Championship. Let's see what they can do. I'm putting them in the middle. Rotherham United are up next. Rotherham United are an interesting one. You know how in the Premier League, AFC Bournemouth proved everyone wrong by staying up because everyone wrote them off? Rotherham United pretty much did the same in the Championship last year. Pretty much everyone I know wrote Rotherham United off, except for Rotherham fans. And fair play to them, they proved us all wrong. They stayed up quite comfortably in the end. Can they do it again though? Can they build on it? This is almost unfamiliar territory for this Rotherham United side, because they tend to just go straight back down in their first season. As I say though, the Championship looks very tough this year, and I think the 3 teams coming up are all going to make a good fist of trying to stay up this year. Do Rotherham slide back into that bottom 3? Oh, Millers fans, what do I do with you? Oh, let's say you survive. There you go, Rotherham surviving. Watford are up next, a little bit like Norwich City. They have parachute payments, but they underperformed last year. They've certainly got a lot of quality there. Can they bounce back this season? I think I'm going to go for the same as Norwich. It's almost like those two are joint at the hip. They came down together, they missed out on the playoffs together. I think they might both just miss out on the playoffs again together. Don't get me wrong, Watford, when it comes to resources, have a lot more than some of the teams in the Championship, and player quality as well. If they can get a manager that they can stick with there, which really should have been Rob Edwards, because we've seen what he's done at Luton Town now, then maybe they can build a good project. Let's say they're sniffing around the playoffs as well, maybe just falling short in 7th place. Let's put them there. Southampton next. Southampton, another team that came down from the Premier League. Don't know what to expect from this team. They've not been in the Championship for 11 seasons now. I do remember their last game in the Championship, those 11 years ago. It was against my team, Coventry, and they beat us 4-0 to seal their promotion to the Premier League. Can they get back to the big time at the first time of asking? It's going to be difficult, but I do like the appointment of Russell Martin. I have liked him at Swansea City. Just hasn't felt like his style of football's paid off yet. Very nice to watch on the eye, the possession style football. And I think with Southampton, what he's going to expect is a bigger budget and probably better player quality than what he had at Swansea. So Southampton probably in the playoff discussion. I'm going to put them in my top 6. Maybe competing for the top 2. I think a lot of people have said Southampton are going to perform the best out of the 3 relegated sides. I don't know. We'll wait and see. Let's put them in the top 6 though. Next up are Swansea City. Now this is an interesting one. We just spoke about Russell Martin now being at Southampton. What's the setup going to be for Swansea City? What's the style of play going to be? What players are they going to have? Joel Perreault is obviously one of the best strikers in the league, but are they even going to have him? I think what you can expect from Swansea City is a team that's not a million miles away from the playoffs. I don't think they'll be in any danger of going down this season, so Swansea mid-table maybe? Yeah, maybe. I can't put them in the top 12 now because I've already got 6 teams there. I think they could be about 13th this season. They ended the season really well last year. They went on a brilliant charge. Their form was probably one of the best in the league over the last 10-15 games. But they have got a different manager and there's going to be a lot of change at Swansea City. So let's say they finish mid-table, maybe 13th or 14th. It'll be a big summer. Swansea could prove me wrong. It wouldn't totally surprise me if they got in the playoffs, to be honest. Leeds United are next. This is the one that's really making me struggle. Leeds United are a big club and a lot of people expect them to do well this season. What we mentioned in the video the other day when we looked at the bookies predictions though, is a lot of teams will be licking their lips at the prospect of going to Ellen Road and Leeds United because, you know, they are a big club and they've got a lot of rivals in the Championship. I think there's a lot of people that want Leeds United to struggle. I personally don't mind. I haven't got a problem with Leeds United. I do find it difficult to place them at this moment in time because they haven't got a manager. Sam Allardyce has gone yesterday at the time of recording this. But what I do expect is for them to be able to attract good quality and make a good fist of pushing for Premier League football. I'm not guaranteeing that they'd make the top 2, but I think they'll be somewhere in that top 6 conversation. So I am going to say that the 3 teams that have come down will all be somewhere in that top 6. I could be totally wrong, but you can give me your predictions down below. Last up then, you've got Huddersfield Town. Where do I put them? I think Huddersfield Town could survive again. They did alright towards the end of last season. They have got the players and the capability to stay up. It just needed the right manager to get them out of trouble with Neil Warnock. It would be great to see Neil Warnock there next season, but I don't know what to expect from Huddersfield Town, to be honest. Can they stay up? I think they can, actually. I'm going to say Huddersfield stay up, but then I've got a problem because I haven't relegated 3 teams. Oh, I'm sorry, Rotherham. I'm going to save Huddersfield. There you go, that's my tier list. Let me know your thoughts down below. So then guys, that wraps up today's video. Like I say, it is a bit of fun. Do share your predictions down below if you want me to see what you guys think down in the comments. Do make sure, of course, to hit that like button, like I say, if you like your Championship content. And do make sure, of course, to subscribe. We'll have the Premier League predictions for you tomorrow. It's early predictions, so don't worry. I'll do my official predictions later on in the summer. I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Peace out.